The rescue itself didn't look dramatic. No siren has been waiting too long. I found them tucked behind a broken wall, small bodies pressed together, barely moving. It scares me most, because fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it shuts everything down. I didn't rush in. I sat down, reached into my bag and pulled out the Four Paw Friends comfort blanket between us and waited. That was the first shift. Not a movement toward me, but a movement away from fear. One tiny body leaned into the fabric. Important. Rescue isn't finished when danger is gone. It's finished when the body learns it can rest. Inside, I set up a quiet corner using the Four Paw Friends resting mat. Not in a cage. Not hidden. Just a calm space where nothing unexpected would happen. They didn't explore. They curled up. And for the first time, they slept. Later, when hunger returned, the slow, careful kind, I used the Four Paw Friends feeding bowl. That's the advantage people don't always understand. Four Paw Friends products animal, that matters more than anything. As the days passed, I saw changes. They started choosing where to rest, playing briefly, then returning to their safe spot, sleeping deeper. One kitten began carrying the small Four Paw Friends comfort toy with him, not chewing it, just holding it while he slept. That's when it hit me. The rescue wasn't what saved them. The same calm routine. That's why Four Paw Friends exists, not to sell products, but to extend the rescue beyond the moment it happens. Because the truth is, anyone can save an animal once, but helping them feel safe every day after, that takes intention. That takes care. That takes Four Paw Friends. Rescue saved their lives. Comfort helped them live. The first night is always the hardest. Not for me. For them, rescue doesn't erase memory. It only removes danger. Inside, the room was quiet. Too quiet. The kind that makes every sound feel louder than it is. They stayed close to the wall at first, bodies low, eyes watching everything. No crying, no movement. I didn't try to change that. I placed the Four Paw Friends comfort mat near the corner, not hidden, not exposed, and laid the same blanket from earlier on top. Same texture, same smell. Consistency matters more than kindness in the beginning. One kitten stepped forward, then froze. He touched the edge of the blanket with one paw, then pulled back. I waited. Minutes passed. Then he stepped onto it fully. He didn't relax right away. He stayed standing, like he was testing whether the ground would disappear again. It didn't. Slowly, he lowered himself down. The others followed. They didn't curl tightly this time. They leaned into each other, warmth shared, fear divided. I dimmed the light and moved away. Because sleep doesn't happen when it's watched. From a distance, I noticed something small but important. Their breathing changed. Fast at first, then slower. One kitten twitched, then settled. Another let out a long breath he'd probably been holding for days. That's when I understood the real advantage of Four Paw Friends products. They don't surprise. No sharp sounds. No slipping. No unfamiliar shapes. To a rescued animal, predictability is safety. Later that night, hunger came quietly. I placed the Four Paw Friends feeding bowl a few feet away. Low, stable, no noise when it touched the floor. They approached carefully. No pushing, no guarding. They ate slowly, pausing between bites, like they didn't quite trust the food would stay. It did. After eating, they didn't scatter. They went back to the mat, back to the blanket, back to the place that had already proven itself. That's when I realized the rescue was over. The healing had begun. Not because they were fed, not because they were warm, but because they returned to safety on their own. That night they slept. Not perfectly, not deeply, but enough. And for animals who had lived in survival mode, enough was everything. That night they didn't just rest. They chose where to feel safe. Morning usually brings fear. Light changes. Sounds return. The world wakes up again. For rescued animals, mornings are reminders that safety doesn't always last. I expected them to scatter when the sun crept in. They didn't. I noticed it slowly. The quiet wasn't tense anymore. It was settled. They were awake, but still lying on the Four Paw Friends comfort mat. Bodies stretched just a little farther than the night before. No tight curls, no pressed corners. One kitten lifted his head and yawned, wide and unguarded, Something you don't see when fear is still in control. I stayed where I was. Because mornings don't need reassurance, they need predictability. I placed fresh water in the same Four Paw Friends bowl, in the same spot as the night before. No new sounds, no sudden movement. They approached without hesitation, not rushing, not checking behind them. That's when it hit me. They remembered, not the fear. The routine. After drinking, they didn't wander aimlessly. They returned. Back to the mat, back to the blanket. One kitten began kneading the fabric slowly, a small, instinctive movement that only appears when a body feels safe enough to remember comfort. Another followed, curling close. That's the advantage people often overlook. Four Paw Friends products don't try to stimulate. They don't surprise. They stay the same. And for animals who have lived in chaos, sameness is everything. Later, when I shifted my weight, I noticed something new. They didn't flinch. One kitten looked up, met my eyes briefly, and blinked. Slow. Trust doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives in moments like that. That morning, they didn't panic. They didn't hide. They stayed. And staying is the first real sign that rescue has turned into healing. That morning, fear didn't wake up with them.